in taped podcast world, the StreamYard quack attack. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Going Over podcast. It is I, your neighborhood friendly coach, trainer, promoter, and for just a few more days, under double digits, your 43-year-old professional wrestler, and I'm feeling every fucking year of it. Zack Primetime Reeb, and I'm joined alongside my podcast partner, the muncher, the little muncher himself, the 7-foot wrecking ball, Paul Isadora. Paul, welcome once again to the program.
What's up, man? So we're trying to figure out a way to do this on Sundays, although it's not happening in the early AM anymore. So we're just gonna have to play it by ear, man. See if we can get it after your training session.
We're going live. That's what's gonna happen. We're going live. We're coming interactive. I want the shitty comments. I want to know whatever. I want the other side of the coin. I want the opinions. I want to know what you think. Tell me to shut the hell up if you don't believe the words that are coming out of my mouth. And speaking of that, I'm coming off of a great company, but a pretty long, shitty weekend. A long, shitty weekend, man.
Well, I haven't heard you say a long, shitty weekend in a long time, because it is. I feel like it is a pro wrestling high the majority of the time. You know, I feel like this time of the year, last year, you did very much the same thing. Where you're like, I just can't wait to get through this date or whatever it was, because I'm going to be doing, 7, 8, 9 weekends in a row, whatever it was. But so definitely disappointing to hear that this weekend was not the one that you were looking forward to, or it sounds like you were looking forward to it, but it wasn't quite what you were expecting it to be.
Well, you look at these weekends and you're like, hey, I'm going down to Stockton. We're going to do a Boots, Brews, and Barbecue. We were down there last year, and there was like 1,500, 2,000 people for a pickle fest. And it was a pretty good time, man. A lot of people. And this time there was absolutely nobody. There definitely was not any Boots. There looked to be a few Brews. And there was 2 stations to choose from barbecue. So you just go with the cheapest one, right? Who's ever got the cheapest tri-tip chicken, whatever the fuck you just go with. But, we go back to that thing. We talk about the pandemic. I feel sorry for Drew McIntyre. I go back because that's before they had the screens and everything. I mean, this guy was in Tampa. It should have been in front of 67,000. It was at the pinnacle, the start and the pinnacle, basically, of COVID. And he defeated Brock Lesnar for the WWE Undisputed Championship in front of absolutely nobody. And he'll always be remembered as the guy who did that. But in the same sense, not too many people beat Brock Lesnar, right? Not too many people get to say they've defeated Brock Lesnar, especially for a championship at WrestleMania. And the bad luck Bears just happened to give you that opportunity in the beautiful WrestleMania of COVID in front of 0 fans. And that's kind of what I felt like this last weekend. I felt like, Larry was wearing a shirt that had Ricky Henderson on it. And I said, hey, Larry, where do I get those Sergio Santana shirts? Hey, Sergio, where do I get those shirts that you had made where Larry bought one with your picture on it? And I watched the best leadoff guy in the game go out this weekend in front of, 15, 20 fans spread out across the stadium. And I felt bad for him because I enjoyed watching what he was doing just because I'm watching what he's doing from my little sweet seat up there in Sweet C. But, man, it was tough. It was a tough crowd. Thank God there was about 10 Latinos sitting up there that really enjoyed wrestling and really enjoyed their cerveza because they played the role. And if they wouldn't have been playing the role, it would have been nobody. And it's wrestling in front of no fans. How important, maybe the most important thing, besides having the wrestling ring there, obviously, is wrestling in front of fans. The fans dictate all of our energy. And that's not an opinion. That's a fucking fact.
Absolutely. I just can't imagine how it must have been. Um, you would say the pinnacle of your career, wrestling at WrestleMania in a main event for the title, um, against a big name like Brock Lesnar, and being in front of no one. We talk about. I feel like every single episode we talk about the ear. You're listening for the crowd, how they're reacting, so you can kind of dictate the pace and intensity and things like that of your match, and not having fans to feed off of is it's got to be one of the most difficult things to do. It's like you think about the empty arena match, right? And it's like, how do you structure that? How do you structure a match where there's no fans, or how do you go out there and perform in front of no fans? But it reminds me of, we just had Cole, your buddy Cole Wright. I was having a conversation with him the other day about how he was wrestling at a tattoo convention, and he said when I showed up, I could kind of tell that it was not a great draw, and I could tell that it was guys going out there and just going through the motions and stuff like that. And his big thing to me was, I never go through the motions, right? I never miss an opportunity to go out there and work my ass off. Which, I mean, I can definitely, I can see that point of view, man. Like, because you, especially when you go, like, you travel a long distance for a show. Maybe you're working with somebody that you're looking forward to working, and then the draw just isn't there. And many guys would say, "Oh, let's just mail it in. Let's go through the motions or whatever." But I just have really appreciated his outlook on it. And he's like, anytime you go out there, you have an opportunity to learn, right? It might be something that you do well, something that you do like shit, a sequence that you've been working on, something that you thought of that's, you want to try out or whatever. He's like, every opportunity you get to go out there is an opportunity to learn. And I just like that mindset, because I mean, obviously I've had my fair share of those shows where you go out there and you're just like, fuck, man, is it even worth it? There's 25 people here, there's 50 people here, or whatever. It feels like a small crowd, and you're just like, is it even worth going out there and performing? But this guy's mindset was just, not that it blew me away, because I get this feeling that this guy is very very into pro wrestling, and wants to do it more, and it's really a passion of his. So it didn't surprise me, the conversation, but it just it was one of those things. It's an eye opener to get the mindset of certain people. And am I going to go out there and do death defying stunts in front of 10 or 15 people? Probably not. But I'm going to try to go out there and tell a story regardless. So it just reminds me of a time that we were doing like a bar show, and I feel like we had like 6 matches or 10 matches set up, and we were like, I don't know, it's just, I feel like it's such a common thing where it's like the promoter's like, oh, let's give it another 10 minutes, let's give it another 20 minutes. We ended up waiting like an extra hour for people to show up, fans to show up, and then we realized, all right, there's going to be 20 people here. Like, so we just decided we're going to do a 10-man tag, and it took an hour or so to do a 10-man tag, and it was literally call it on the fly. We're out there just, just having a good time, enjoying, uh, entertaining ourselves, just with the ridiculousness of putting together instead of several matches. You're just saying, like, all right, we're just going to throw all of our eggs in one basket. We're going to go all out there and we're going to just have one match. And it reminded me of when you don't want to be in a battle royal. You're like, all right, I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and then you go, all right, man, throw me out, right? You've only been in for 2 minutes. I said, throw me out. So throw me out. So, and then you're just like, short night. But yeah, man, I can definitely understand where you're coming from when you got the small crowd and you don't literally, it's a disappointment, and especially for you with the production that you're trying to do. Like, hey, I'm trying to get footage out of this, and when there's nobody there watching, there's no crowd to listen to and feed off of. It makes it very difficult to accomplish the goal.
That's what I want. I want to go from a packed house and good lighting and screens and footage to a empty fucking baseball field with nothing on it. More power to you guys out there that just want to go out there and do it for the smaller crowd. More power to Cole Wright, who wants to put up hard reps at a tattoo convention in front of nobody, man. I used to have that type of love for the game, the type of love where you want to get out there and just do it no matter what. You're just happy to be here. But I no longer look at it like that. That's not how I look at it. More power to my team for going out there, because I thought it was a great show. To be honest with you, if that show would have happened in front of a large crowd, I remember, I remember one of the promoters talking to me about 10 minutes before the show. And I said, hey, it's the first one and it'll get better, a little positivity. And he said, oh, you think so? You think more people are going to walk up to the event? And I said, absolutely no, not today. I said, this one's a wash. You're fucked. You know what I mean? Like, no, I wasn't being that positive because that wasn't happening. And Doc came up to me and was kind of like, hey, do you even want to film? Because it's not going to be usable. And he referred to it as the fan situation. I really thought that was hilarious. We're just out here standing there, the fan situation. And I'm like, yeah, of course, let's film. Just so, that's one guarantee we can. You can always bank on at Pro Championship Wrestling. We're going to film your match. And if you need that footage, we're going to be able to give it to you, even if there was nobody there. And, it was just one of those reminders that we talk about, like the promotion, where don't sleep on, there's a reason we make flyers. There's a reason there's graphics, not just to promote on social media. In this instance, these guys had spent a lot of money on Facebook and Instagram. And my immediate reaction to that was like, man, that's kind of retarded, man, because I don't feel, and don't get me wrong, maybe there's times in social media that it works and it doesn't, but I just feel like if you're going to spend money on something, and this is anybody, okay, this isn't just this situation. If you're going to spend money on something, I mean, I'm going to swing for the fences. I'm going down swinging. I'm going to get flyers, especially if I had a really good flyer made. I'm going to get flyers made. I'm going to get little flyers made. I'm going around to the businesses and putting them up and asking if they want free tickets. I mean, my job as a promoter is to make sure the venue has business. Even if I don't make by proxy, handing out a bunch of tickets is going to get word of mouth going with a bunch of people going, hey, I got these free tickets to this event. You want to go? And they start telling people. And by proxy, you're going to start getting more walk-ups just because this thing is going to advertise itself, right? The food vendors are going to get more money. Everyone's going to make more money than they would have made even if you hand some shit out. And it was just one thing. What I mean by swing for the fences is I'm going down swinging. So if I'm promoting a show, whether there's something else going on, this, that, whatever, I'm going to take the product. I'm going to go get the posters. I'm going to get the flyers. I'm going to grab the tickets. And for 2 to 3 weeks, maybe more, I mean, I'm going down swinging. I'm going out there and I'm putting this stuff up because this is my money on the line. For all promoters out there, this is your money on the line. Staying stagnant, staying stale. Now, what I mean in this situation, I feel like somebody was just standing at the plate, just watching with no intent to swing. You know what I mean? No intent to swing, hoping that the pitches that came over the plate were not strikes, so you can get a free pass to first. And let's walk this one to the finish line. You know, we're not running this race and we're not prepping for it, but we're running to the finish line. And you know, it happens, bad nights, but you know, it just reminded me so much that, like you said it just a minute ago, it's not about the money, whether you get your money or not. What it's about is, for me, it's about my time. My time is my money, my content, my matches that I film, things that we do. You know, the team drives out to a place, and if there's no crowd, or if there's a little bit of a crowd and they're not loud enough, or it's bad footage, you can't put that on your Saturday. I can't put that on Limelight. You know, there's been situations before where stuff is made Limelight, and I love now that Doc will look at me even when I'm not even thinking about it, because I wasn't thinking about it. I'm like, oh, people are going to be coming up. I was kind of running around, enjoying myself, just doing my thing. Didn't have a lot of responsibility. I just got this fucking injury at class, like a hip flexor. I had to have Ethan Reno come over a couple days and put my socks on for me. My dad's been putting my socks on for me. My fucking leg hurts. It's killing me right now sitting down. But I just remember him coming up to me and saying that, like, hey, this is not going to be usable, right? And it's nice to be on the same page with somebody who goes, yeah, we're not going to be able to use this. I mean, we had a good time. Dinner was fun afterward. It was just a long day, and I got home at 7, and I was just like, dude, I'm done. I'm going to sleep. I don't even give a fuck what happens after this. I'm going to get like 12, 13 hours of sleep. I'll wake up in the morning, do a podcast. I forgot you told me that we're not doing the podcast on Sundays because of your work. That's how tired I've been. And you know, just moving along. You know, I talked to another buddy who was at another show, and I just don't want to mention names and stuff like that, because the things I heard this weekend, the things I experienced, the things I was a part of, and I guess you're gonna have some bad ones here and there, and you're gonna hear the bad eggs. We're in wrestling, so I mean, where are we at in this lane right here? We got the fucking idiots over here, and then we got the fucking assholes over here. You know what I mean? And that's what we got. When you show up at a show, I mean, that's why I give you guys, like, right when I know the show's about to start, I walk around and I hand out your envelopes, because I know when it's all said and done, you want to get the fuck out of there, bro. You got to say bye to everyone. You're heading back to fucking Reno. You got a 2.5 hour drive. Same for us. I appreciate it when we get to your show and you hand them right out, because it's like, cool, man. Even though we're going to stay afterwards, if we did have to go, they're not being held hostage right there. So it's one of those things, you know, here we are in the wrestling business, and it's just so easy, whether you're a young aspiring wrestler, whether you're at the right school, under the right guidance, whatever. It's so easy, especially nowadays, for someone to be taken advantage of.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, I don't know, man. What is your feeling about that? I mean, I feel like for the first, um, you know, 12, 15 years of my career, there was, um, I felt like that was the expectation, was you're going to have to wait around after the show for the promoter to give you your envelope, right? And I definitely remember, I don't even remember where we were at, but it was for Fog City, I think, some venue outside of San Francisco. a casino or something like that, and having to chase the promoter around. It's like, hey, what's going on? Oh, just going to the bank. Well, like, I don't know, man. It's just, but I felt like it was that was just what you expected. You expected to go to a show and get paid after the show and be waiting around for it and things like that. And I thought that that was something that always irritated me. It's like, dude, I'm trying to get home. I want to get out of here, and you just want to say your goodbyes and leave. But then you're like you just said, man, you're held hostage, waiting for your envelope. So I feel like that's something that we've uh, tried to do here. Is just like I hate that feeling where you're waiting around. So it's like I'm just going to, I'm going to pay everyone up front, and it's like I just want you to know that I appreciate you being here. Here's your envelope. Like, and we've talked about this dozens of times, but it's like you feel like if you don't have the money to run this show, you probably shouldn't be doing it, right? You're because I mean, and I've experienced it as well, where it's like, oh, hey, the gate was a little light tonight. You know, I can't get you tonight, or whatever.
Yeah.
Promoters trying to not pay you and things like that. And it's like, I don't know, man. Just I don't understand that situation. But I also am very aware that you definitely have people that are. They're more interested in telling you that they own a wrestling promotion than they are making a profit or making it a business, right? They're like they're okay with, well, I didn't lose that much money tonight, right? It's like I don't know, man. If the most important thing to you is for you to be able to tell people that you own a wrestling promotion, there's definitely something going awry. But I don't know, man. I thought about that when it comes to a training school. It's like, oh, why don't you guys have a building with all the nice stuff, right? The brand new ring and nice building and the logo painted on the wall and stellar bathrooms and great accommodations, a locker room, all this different stuff. Is like, because it got to the point where it's like you only have a certain amount of people that are willing to be dedicated to pro wrestling. I was having this conversation the other night. It's like, we've probably, since the beginning of January, I would say we've probably had 30 people come through the school, and you can the people that have stuck around is a handful. So but I feel like that's just been how it's been since the beginning. When we first opened in 2010 was probably 250 people have come through, and it's just not for everyone. So it's like, oh, well, I'm not going to run a school and pay for a building and be in charge and be on the hook for the lease, so so I can have a place for people to train. If there's not dozens of people that are more than paying the cost of the rent. So that's very envious of like the Oregon wrestling school situation with all those students that you're talking about, seeing dozens and dozens of students, and every time you see a video of them doing something with training, it's lines of people doing all these different training exercises. So just hope for that type of success.
Well, I mean, you look at it, like I remember being down in Texas with DFW when we were working in Fort Worth, and they were telling us how many students they had. And I didn't believe them at first. And then they were showing us pictures of the training facility. I was like, fuck, they got like 3 or 4 rings in here. This is a nice facility. But like Houston, Dallas, fucking these are Arlington. These are huge cities with lots of people in this area. it's like the difference in Sacramento and Oakland and stuff like that. We talk about the attendance all the time. But I mean, if you're in a big market like Sacramento or San Francisco, and then here we are in this small market of Yuba City, if you're in a bigger market, there's going to be more people with more money that are going to be able to pay for wrestling training. More population, more people. And you run into these situations like the Oregon guys. I mean, what town are they? What city are they running in out of? I never even is it Portland?
I don't know if it's Portland or I don't. I would assume it's Portland because I would see all these guys in Portland for Portland Wrestling and WCWC things like that. So
yeah, with nothing really, there's a lot of empty space. You know what I mean? When you get into Salt Lake City and other places, there's a lot of empty space until you get to big cities. So if you're running a wrestling school and you are one of the only wrestling schools or the best wrestling school, and there's nothing around you and you're in a big city, you are going to get a lot of people that want to do it. I'm blessed. I say I'm blessed every day, but I'm blessed that I have the students and the team I have because where I'm sure a lot of people get, more students at one time to start than we do, the accumulation and the rate that these guys stick around, how long they stick around over time with us is more. We keep guys around as a whole and have accumulated an amazing team over time. Now, me personally, excuse me, I would love to get 20, 25 students, kind of like what APW did back in the day when Roland was running things. I would love to have an orientation. I would love to have 25 students starting at one time. But also when you start with a lot of students, you can expect a lot of students to fall off. It comes down to like setting up the ring. I didn't have my normal crew of the Red Bluff guys setting up the ring this time. I had different people, and I found myself doing the work myself because the guys that usually do it that have listened and picked up, and I realized, man, I think I should start running a fucking a seminar for how to set the ring up and break it down. And then Doc's like, yeah, and let's run a seminar on how to run the GoPros and the cameras and stuff like that, because you just don't have enough people that know how to do this. And that's what baffled me was like, you guys don't know how the padding goes up there. You don't know how the wood goes up there. You don't know how to put the frame together. You don't know how to tie off the fucking rope and the correct way to run it through and how to do the canvas. You don't know what way all turnbuckles go the same way. It blew my mind. I'm like, how are you expecting, and this goes for all you out there, how are you expecting to have a career in professional wrestling if you don't even know how to put the fucking ring together? Hey, if you're Rick Luxury, I get it, man. There's not instructions in Braille and there's not bumps in Braille on the ring. But even a blind man I've watched put a ring together because he's done it so many times. If you don't know how to put a ring together, okay, now there's a big difference, okay, and this is honest. There's a major difference in like the NIL program in WWE coming out of like a 4-year major university as a big star in basketball, baseball, soccer, gymnastics, whatever. I still think those people should know how to set the fucking ring up, but that's a different level, right? Charles Robinson sets the goddamn ring up. If you're on this indie level, if you're on this fucking level and you don't know how to set the ring up, respectfully, man. No, not respectfully. What the fuck are you doing? How are you in this business and you don't know how to put the ring up? And not just put the ring up, you're not willing to put the ring up. It was like that thing I saw the other day. I tried it out unloading the ring, where you start walking towards something that they're going to do, and you make sure you show up at the same time. And then the person goes, I got it. And you're like, okay, cool. You got it. Like, you could really stand there and not do. And I was talking to Sparky. Sparky was saying, when guys do this, he gets mad at them, or when they have their hands in their pocket. And I said, hands in your pocket's just a nervous thing. Crossing your arms like this, you're just popping your back. But this is one I hate more, when they put their hands on their hips comfortably. Because when I put my hands on my hips, that's when I'm resting from working hard. So if I see somebody who wasn't working hard and their hands are on their hips and they're smiling and talking, that's my biggest pet peeve, because you're just a lazy piece of shit. And that's all it is. And if you're out there, whether you're my friend, an acquaintance, we talk at wrestling shows. If you got a fucking problem, come on up and vent your gripe, your gripe with me. If you even listen to this show to get better at any aspect of professional wrestling, if you give a fuck. But if you're one of those guys that doesn't help out with the ring, setup, breakdown, if you ain't carrying wood, and most importantly, if you don't know how to put the ring together and tear it down and how to load it back up properly, if you can't figure that out with common sense, then you're a piece of shit. Bottom line, bar none. And you may not think you are, but I know you are. If you're in this business on this level of indie wrestling and you can't put that fucking ring together, dude, straight up POS. And you may be a good dad, you may be a good mom, a good brother, sister, you may be a good boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever you think you are. You may be good at math. You might be a good bank accountant or a real estate agent, whatever you are. If you can't put the ring together and you're running around watching everybody else work, especially, do you know how many times I got to see people make a post? Well, if Cody Rhodes can break the rings down and walk them to the trailer, then I'm not doing enough in business. No shit. Do you know how many guys I've seen in NorCal say that? Like, oh, well, if Cody could do it. Well, what about if Primetime's doing it? What about if Sparky's doing it? What about if a guy who's not a brand new student is doing it? It's okay. You're still doing enough if we're doing it and you're not doing it. It's like, go to hell, dude. Fuck, I'm going to get pissed off right now. I'm going to lose my shit, Paul, because people don't help out at all. And then they got their little fucking hand out for their little, can I get my money? I put my body on the line here tonight. Shut up. We lost him. So I guess I'll get back to that. I'm supposed to sit here and believe that somebody needs to be on a wrestling show if they can't break down the ring. I'm going to get off of this subject right now. I was trying to kick it to Paul right there. Thank God he's back. Thank God he's back, because I couldn't get out of this fucking rant, and I needed you to save me. And I was trying to feed it over to you.
I was getting ready, and then all of a sudden it started giving me the bad signal.
Envelope's a little light. Do you think I broke this ring down for free, dude? Save me here, man. Save me here, because if you don't save me,
I feel like there's been so many situations where, just going to a promotion and seeing that, like, I remember one situation specifically in Vegas. I think it was the exact same ring that we had, like a little bit unique ring where it had to be bolted together and things like that. And I was trying to tell the guys, like, hey, I think you've got, these are supposed to be color coded. You have the ring, the red post, and the two red sides where they're painted red. Those are going to go to the red post, and the yellow one goes to the yellow, and the red to the red. And the guys all, oh, I don't think that's how it works, man. they got it painted so they know how to load it into the trailer. And it's like, you're a fucking idiot if you think that that's what's going on here. Uh, but it was just, it's it just blows your mind when you see that type of thing where it's like, and I don't know, man. It comes down to, um, are we doing that as a part of the training school? You know, I'm thinking about it as you're talking, and it's like, some of these guys, they come to the school and the ring's already set up, right? There's not even a second thought about how did this ring get put together, or thinking of how awesome this situation is that you don't have to set this ring up for training every day or whatever it is. It's like I just remember going from having our ring at the training school to breaking it down to go to a show, then having to break it down and take it back to the training school to set it back up. Just you're doing it over and over and over, on a at least once a month, sometimes several times a month. So everybody gets very good at doing every little piece, because it's like, I don't want to be sitting here for several hours as the ring's getting put together. You want it to be a streamlined process where everybody kind of knows like what their part is. Like, oh well, we're all gonna carry the ring posts in or whatever, and then we're bringing the sides in, and these sides need to be parallel to each other because the first set of steel is going to go on these ones, and the other ones have to be parallel because the other set of steel is going to go on that, and we're setting it up so it's going to be easy to just walk straight into the building and put the wood right onto the surface. So it just blows my mind that you have some things that people are not aware of like that. And obviously we complain all the time about, you have the people that get there late and leave early. It's like, oh, too good.
That ain't complaining.
Right. You're too good to get here when we're putting the ring together, and you're too good to stay until we're done breaking it down. And the number of times that I've taken down and taken a ring apart and put it back together is countless for me. But a lot of times it's just the maintenance stuff, right? I'm taking it apart because I'm doing some sort of maintenance on it to try to extend the life of the ring. You're putting new ropes on, you're putting new boards on, you're changing out the padding or putting whatever it is. You're doing something where you're doing it on your own as the person that owns the ring, and it's mind blowing that everybody doesn't have a little bit more, buy-in or ownership of getting it all set up, right?
Oh, it ain't complaining. When you see that, it's not complaining. You're pointing out a fucking fact over here. That dude's fucking lazy. That dude's gonna do everything he can to avoid doing any work. And you can see it in that person's training. You can see it in their performance in the ring. When I see someone throw lazy heat or bad heat, I think bad training. And the reason I think that is because that's something that the trainer should be showing that person. And you know what else people forget about? That we're fucking driving these trailers, these open-ended, these enclosed trailers with all this stuff down the road and backing it up and doing all this stuff. We can't stop to eat a lot of times afterwards if we go a long distance because there's nowhere to park the shit. Could you imagine trying to go through a fucking McDonald's drive-through with a truck and you ain't making it. You ain't making it. And there's just I'm so glad for my team. And I know there's a lot, and everybody. I mean, the kids at SPW and the way SPW runs Ring Crew and stuff like that, very helpful. Ugly Dojo, very helpful. Your guys, very helpful. You know, that's one of the things I was glad Annabelle was there, because the guys that normally do the ropes and stuff weren't there. And I said, Annabelle, you know how to do the ropes, because I remembered she knows how to do the ropes, and she said, I know how to do the ropes, and she knew how to do the ropes, because for a year she sat there and was there before every one of your shows doing the seminar, the training thing before, and she was setting up and breaking down, and she learned how to do that. And here's this little petite Mighty Mouse girl, Minnie Mouse, just fucking carrying the poles by herself, and the guys are coming up trying to grab them. She's like, no, I got it. You need some help? No, back up, motherfucker. That's what I really liked about her when I met her, because guys would come up and be like, here, I'll grab the end of that side piece. And she'd be like, no, I got it. You know, you want me to help with the wood? Get back up, dude. I can carry it myself, because I'm a grown ass fucking woman. You know what I mean? And you have to respect things like that. You know, I like it when my guys stick around after and help break down. Sometimes too many people is too much. You know what I mean? If you got a smaller ring, you know, loading the ring. It's me and two other guys that load the ring on a Friday, every Saturday. Me, Ethan, and Samuel Del Toro. You know, and he's kind of there as a like a spotter. I probably wouldn't want him to spot me in the gym if I had 315 on the bench press, but it's nice to take a little breather and say, hey, grab that, do this, because even when he starts carrying something, you're like, bro, are you an invalid? He's like, heavy, someone grab this side. You know, I love it when they grab the long, you know, the center beams that go across the middle, and like one guy will get two on one end, and then the dipshit on the back will like grab in the middle, and then you're just watching this kid in the middle carry all the fucking weight, while the guy up front's like, hey, whatever, dude, I'll act like I'm fucking doing something here. Or a guy's got a fucking pole, you throw a pole up over your shoulder, and another guy grabs the top of it, and the guy usually with the pole goes, hey, get your fucking hands off that thing. Because you're not doing anything but making it more unbalanced on my fucking shoulder right now. You know, how many people do not even know how to tighten the ropes? That's the biggest thing I've like tightening the ropes. It's very rare to find some people that know how to tighten the ropes. And if your whole company knows how to tighten the ropes, hey, fucking kudos to you. You're a better trainer than I am, I guess, because it is just a foreign language. Sometimes I feel like putting the ring together, and I'll stay on this one till the end of the show. I could. Sometimes I feel like I'm speaking Japanese and I don't know how to speak Japanese. It's like, man, if I could coach that person on giving me a blowjob like I do how to do stuff with the ring, man, I'd be getting the best blowjobs in town from some of these students. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, you're choking. Hold on. Let me get the little spit cup under there. Okay, there it is. All right, now drink your own spit. I just don't understand some of this stuff, man. You gotta pay your fucking dues. Pay your dues. And it just, a lot went on. A lot has gone on. And I'm tired, and I don't just mean I'm tired like I'm sleepy tired. I'm just tired, man. I'm tired of looking at the fucking subscribers on the podcast that stuck at 287. I'm tired of looking at other people who have maybe had more people that they know who don't give a shit click a subscribe button. You know what I mean? I was listening to a podcast today. I was listening to JD209 from NY. JD from NY. And JD told me while I was listening, I was laughing at a couple things he said, and he said, trying to get 1,000 likes here. Hit that like button for me. You know what I did? I hit the fucking like button. You know why? Because JD from NY doesn't have a fucking clue if I hit the like button or not. But I know he wants to get to 1,000 subscribers, and I listen to him, and I subscribe to him. I subscribe to Jim Cornette, and I like listening to those guys. So, you know what I do? I just hit a fucking button because it's that easy. It's just that fucking easy. And even just asking people out there to go, hey man, will you hit a subscribe button for me? And probably the same people that were asking to hit a subscribe button are the same people that say they subscribe to the show or they listen to it or I asked a couple guys before, like down in Reno. I said, hey man, they're telling me about a podcast. I go, fuck. I said, you listen to ours? They go, oh, like once. And I'm like, once? You're trying to train with Paul down there, the head trainer at the school you're trying to go to, and the head trainer at the other school that work closely are doing a podcast teaching you everything you need to know about this business. There's 91 of them now. Fucking 91 of them. Oh, maybe I should check it out. Yeah, maybe you should. Maybe you fucking should check it out. Maybe you should fucking go to training. Maybe you should learn to put the fucking ring together. Maybe you should get behind the wheel of this big truck with the fucking tow hitch and a ball and drag the fucking trailer a couple hours down the road. You want to talk about getting your anxiety pumped up? Oh, I mean, half the kids nowadays don't even drive. Well,
That is very, very true. My daughter just passed her driving test, and somebody was just like, "Oh, it's refreshing to see you get. Oh, you just turned 16. Wow, imagine that." And I was just like, "Well, when do people normally get their license? I don't understand." It's like, "Oh, well, some people, get their license in their 20s or 30s or whatever." And it's like, I don't know, man. I was chomping at the bit, man, to get my driver's license. I wanted some independence. I wanted to be able to, you know, go places on my own. I didn't want to have to, wait for someone to give me a ride. So, but it's
15
just
and a half. Driver
right,
permit, driver's permit.
right. So, I just it's funny that's happening. I mean, I had a buddy that was like that. I drove him around, everywhere everywhere I went, he went with me, and so there was no there was no sense of urgency for him. It was very just, I'll just tag along. If I need a ride somewhere, you'll give me a ride. So,
Have
it's just
you
like your buddies, so you just kind of drive
enable
around
him? You
together.
enable
Right.
him.
That's exactly right, man. I feel like that's the story of my life, being an enabler.
Say, oh, I'm with you. Have you heard that song by oh God, who are they? Salt and Pepper. And they go, a scrub. A scrub is hanging out the passenger side of my best friend's ride, trying to holler at me. I don't want no scrub. I got my buddy, these girls back in the day got my buddy a doll that when you squeezed it sang that song, because that's what they called my buddy and he didn't realize it. They called him my scrub. They said because he was always he would wake up when we were living in Oroville and be like, "Hey, you know what, homeboy? I know what we should do today." And I'd be like, "Yeah, what's that?" And he'd be like, "How about we go eat some lunch at Tong Fong Lowe's, okay? And then we'll go get a big bag of green bud." Oh, all right, all right. And then we'll finish the night out at the Montgomery Street pub getting fucking hammered and hopefully take some chicks home, homeboy. And I'm like, damn, bro. I said, that sounds like a good day. I said, my next question is, did you run into some money? And he said, oh, no, homeboy. I thought you were going to pay for it. I just thought that's what we should do today. And I was like, cool. But you know what I did? You know what I did? I paid for it. All that in that order. And that's exactly what I did. I enabled another grown man to be able to eat, smoke, drink, fuck, do whatever he wanted for as long as he wanted to do, being an enabler. All right, everybody, that is the welcome to adulthood 20 minutes of the Going Over podcast. We just come off a big weekend. It's here by myself. I want to know who's listening out there. I want to know, because what I saw this weekend from the WWE was an A minus. I give him an A minus. They got a bad rating on the ESPN app from the ESPNers. And here we were. They went out there and I thought Crown Jewel in Perth, Australia, I thought AJ Styles and John Cena put it on, man. They put it on. John Cena from giving Alicia Taylor that introduction for AJ Styles, the camaraderie those two have together. He's coming up here on his last few matches. And I'll tell you what, that AJ Styles John Cena match, that's it, man. That's professional wrestling right there. The intelligence, the way that they countered all those moves. You look back at it, right? And you say, man, they were tributing. They were taking other people's moves. Styles was using Samoa Joe's moves and Christopher Daniels' moves and all these people. I had to switch this subject over, Paul. That was the 20 minutes of how to be an adult in professional wrestling. But I wanted to see how many people were really listening to this. Did you watch any of Crown Jewel this weekend?
I did not.
Do yourself a favor. Find a way to go watch AJ Styles versus John Cena from Crown Jewel, because my God, man, I might have found another one that slipped in the top 5. It's definitely in the top 10 now. I mean, these guys, just man, how smart they were. They were tributing moves, man. We saw pedigrees. We saw Bray Wyatt kiss it. We saw Walls of Jericho's. We saw Samoa Joe, the Kate Hajime. We saw Christopher Daniels with the angel wings. John Cena slipped a card to Alicia Taylor before it started, and it had a special introduction that how he wanted her to introduce AJ Styles. And it was like, he is the definition of total nonstop action. He is the ace of the Bullet Club. He is the face that runs the place. Ladies and gentlemen, please join us one last time as AJ Styles gets ready to kick John Cena's ass. He is the phenomenal, and just like the relationship those two have with each other, and how much John Cena respects AJ Styles, and how AJ Styles got to the WWE, and the fact that the size difference between these two guys and just how they work. What you don't realize, even though Styles is jacked up right now, that little motherfucker is strong as an ox, dude. He's giving that Styles clash to any size guy. He's picking Cena up and twirly birding him around and safely sitting out with him. Someone asked me, they said Kurt Angle, AJ Styles, or Shawn Michaels. Which one? Oh, it was Mitch. He asked me which one. He was talking about the match. And I said Styles. He said promo. I said Angle. We got in that conversation. But he said, out of those three, who do you think? And I'm going to be honest with you. I think AJ Styles is better than Shawn Michaels. I really do. Definitely a longer career. Styles never took a break. Michaels took from 32 to 42 off. Like, he took 8 or 10 years off because of the back. Styles has never taken a break. Like, he'll take a little break here and then he'll come back fucking jacked up more than ever and go back to work. But I'm going to say, look at Angle. Angle didn't have a long career. How are you going to argue the fact that AJ Styles, he's not the Shawn Michaels of this generation. He's the AJ Styles of this generation. Successful in Impact, successful in Japan, successful in WWE. He's going to retire the way he wants. John Cena picked him for one of his last matches, dude.
That's crazy, man. Just to think about the longevity of that guy's career. And, now it sounds like he's going to hang it up next year. So, and that's how you want to go out, man. You want to be able to kind of call your own shots. And, you tell me what time you're going to stop wrestling, not get forced out or get to the point where you're just doing it way too long and now you're a parody of yourself, So, being able to do it on your own terms, I think, is kind of what everyone would like to do. But unfortunately, you see a lot of those scenarios where, I don't know how often that happens recently, but definitely back in the day where guys weren't taking care of their money. You got these guys that are wrestling, uh, far too long. When you're like, hey, why don't you just retire already? Stop doing this to yourself. But at the same time, you have people that have done nothing but pro wrestling, right? You have a lot of guys that have just done that. All I've done is pro wrestling. All I know is pro wrestling. So, what would I do if I retired, right? What would I do? Go work at Walmart or whatever. So, you got to think about those type of things. But I think that there's also a lot of good examples of guys that have had successful careers or manage their money properly, and they get into something else after pro wrestling where they continue to make a living. So that's just, but to be able to just call it quits on your when it's your time, when you decide, I think is going to be awesome for AJ Styles to do that. And he talks about wanting to spend more time with his family and things like that. I think that's awesome. That's how everyone would like to do things.
Barry Sanders of professional wrestling. That's what AJ Styles is. He's the Barry Sanders of pro wrestling because Barry couldn't touch him on the ground, right? And the life expectancy of a running back. And Barry got you there and then decided, hey, I got records that are obtainable in the next year or two. I'm done because I'm not gonna. He must have felt something in the body and was just like, nah, not even worth it. I got that single season rushing record, and that's what Styles reminds me of. He's the Barry Sanders. He's the best running back with the most longevity in the WWE. That's what he did in pro wrestling because he had an insane style in TNA. He was in WCW before they closed. Styles in Air Paris, but in that cruiserweight tag team tournament. So he's been to WCW right before they closed. He's seen dog shit. He went to TNA through all the years, even when Hogan and Nash and Hall and Flair and all them came in. He worked with Flair. He worked with the Main Event Mafia. And then he turns around and he went to Japan and really, you think of the Kenny Omegas, the Fergal DeWitts, Finn Balor's, you think of all those guys that came out of Japan. Styles was still the man in Japan. Everyone's high on Will Ospreay. You know who Will Ospreay's favorite, most influential wrestler is in his career? AJ Styles. And here's Styles getting a special introduction in one of John Cena's last 5 matches at Crown Jewel in Australia. And that's his last international match. And Styles was the guy that he wanted to be in the ring with for that. AJ Styles, first ballot Hall of Famer. And we all could wish that we had one of the best, most athletic wrestlers today. His role model is AJ Styles. You know what I mean? Like, I'm never going to get that in pro wrestling. They're never going to say like, oh man, this professional wrestler that's a big star was heavily influenced by Zack Primetime Reeb. Nah, that's not happening. Up and down these roads, and you got to give these motherfuckers credit, man. Guy like AJ Styles, they travel to fucking Saudi Arabia and shit, and then he works 2 or 3 shows over there, SmackDown, because they always do SmackDown and the PLE, and it's just wear and tear on your body. That's why I always say, Bret Hart, man, hey, more power to you. Complain away, Bret. Love you to death, but damn, did that guy put in. Bill Goldberg. All right, we're closing in, man. We're closing in. You got anything for us? We got the big one coming up. Newtown, Urington. Larry the Lawman's ready.
That's it, man. He's just sent me the big thing on in the city, the reader board where they've got his silhouette or something. I don't know, something a little picture or something, and all the verbiage about the show, and he's out there just creating a buzz. So It's all we can
Larry
hope for,
does.
man. All Larry just bringing it together. So,
You know,
uh,
Dickie threw Dickie threw Boyce out of the ring real quick, and he says, "Get him back in here, Larry." And all I could think about was Larry going out and grabbing Boyce and rolling the heel back in the ring. I thought that'd be a great spot too. But here we are. What were you saying, real quick? Finish us off.
oh, I was gonna say we got the show this weekend, Saturday, Yerington, Nevada, at the Boys and Girls Club. Show starts at 5 o'clock. So hopefully it should be a good time, man. Excited for that.
All right, we'll see you guys in Yerington, Nevada, and if we don't see you there, we'll see you somewhere. Hey, hit that subscribe button, and remember, if you're laying on the ground and you're on fire, if you're one of those guys that don't hit the subscribe button, I wouldn't even piss on you. Have a good one, everybody.